stored elsewhere.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DL Memphis, Flint Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall.
Good Tuesday. Oh, the weekend can't get here fast enough. Today, cut down day in the National Football League. Mike Keith's going to join us. Last segment of the day, we talked Titans, we talked the NFL. All of a sudden, wide receivers, man, are they raking it in. We saw CeeDee Lamb. I know that makes Zach Boyd very happy, a Cowboy fan. They finally paid him his money. I guess Dak Prescott will be next. But the receivers now are making so much money, $30 million a year from many of these guys with big-time guaranteed money. It's interesting to see the evolution of the game. Now a running back can't make anything, and a receiver is getting generational cash. Yeah, passing game, baby. Everything has changed. The not a good day for Tiger fans. Two former players cut today. Quindell Johnson by the Bears. He was like a long shot to make it last year, and he could still get picked up by another team and put on a scout team. I'm hoping, because you can't get a nicer kid than Quindell. Jacoby Francis cut by Minnesota today. So was former Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral. And the Bears also cut Jerome Carvin. He is a kid from Cordova that played at Tennessee. So those four are cut. It's early. The deadline is 3 o'clock. We'll see what the Titans are going to do and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm sure there will be some breaking news on all of that as the day goes on because, again, at 3 o'clock Central is the time period for all of the cuts to be made. We talk business of sports, and that's business. Joe Dank is going to join us, and we'll talk a little bit about the Bally's deal, get an update on that, because remember, he spoke of certain teams last week that when Bally's did sign their deal with the NBA, that there were some teams that might not get their Bally's deal. It appears that Memphis, Pete and Brevin and Rob, well, they'll be paid by the team anyway. They're going to have their games. But where will they be distributed? And it appears they may have dodged a bullet on that one, and the Bally's may be doing it. We'll get an update with Joe on that. Also, new media deals. The SEC and the Big Ten this week really start up, so that'll be a lot of fun. And all the Tigers' new looks for this year. We'll get into the business of all of that with Joe Dank. Speaking of business, Ed Scott, boy, he's walked in. He's had to hire coaches and hire athletic directors, assistants for him. He also, and I did not realize this because time moves on so quickly, that the original agreement for FedEx Forum for the Tigers not to go elsewhere, not to stay at the Pyramid, not to build an on-campus arena. They had a deal, a long-term deal with the Grizzlies on use of the FedEx Forum, which paid them based on attendance. Well, that deal is up. And instead of really trying to sit down and figure something out while you know there's going to be some craziness, I guess the best way to put it, because I'm not sure how they're going to redo FedEx Forum. You know, you're talking about a $550 million redo. I'm assuming that a lot of the lower bowl, because they want to make that lower bowl bigger, that we're talking about concrete being blasted out and redefined and everything else. So my guess is you're going to have limited seating for a couple of years, right? You're going to work one side 1 year, the next side the other year. This is going to be a multi-year deal, I would think. I don't really know, and the Grizzlies aren't even talking about it. Nobody's seen that I know of the plans for all of this. We just know the price tag. So I think it was smart of Ed Scott to do a 2-year contract extension on the last one. There are some different terms, and from what we are hearing, and it hasn't been signed yet, so neither side is really talking about it, but from what we're hearing is that there were bonuses that were attached or finances that would come in based on attendance. Those qualifications may be changing. And in other words, I think you got $800,000 from the Grizz if you averaged 10,000. The best year Penny had as a coach for attendance was his first year with that great recruiting class and everything else. I want to say that was like 88, almost 9,000 per game. That's the best. They never got the full 800,000 to have 10,000 people, which, we see crowds that are announced so high. It's, they definitely pad the ledger, you could say. And I want to say last year was right around $7,000. That's it. Under that, 6,800 maybe it was, something of that nature. So Memphis was never getting the full 800. The Grizzlies weren't making their money off concessions and parking and everything else that they would have liked. So we'll have to wait and see what these new qualifications are. But Ed Scott's taking care of that. Man, has he ever walked into a busy time period, that is for sure. Yesterday, the 2 deep was announced for the Tigers. So I did some counting, Zach. And I'm going to ask you another unfair question because you have no idea this is coming. But listed on their depth chart, and I list 8 on special teams because that's 2 deep at punter and kicker and long snapper and holder. Okay, because there's a lot of repeat here. Just 8. There are, on this depth chart, 62 names that are posted that make up the depth. And by the way, I did not realize this, but Ryan Silverfield talked about this yesterday. In 2018, that was the deepest team that he had seen here since he arrived. 2018, there were 19 guys on that ball club that made the NFL. That is incredible. I don't think Memphis has ever had that many from one team that made the big league. I don't know if they ever will again with the way this thing is set up, unless they get into a Power 4, which is feasible. We'll be talking a little bit about that with Joe Dank. Of course, the news coming out about the Big 12 now being very interested in UConn. Here's a school that gave up football. Of course, they bring big markets in. I mean, New York is kind of part of that market, so very frustrating and actually depressing if you're a Memphis fan to see that UConn, that gave up football, because football's supposed to be the answer, right? Gave up football. And I know their commissioner is really a basketball kind of a guy, so he's talked about UConn and Gonzaga doesn't even play football as new additions into that league. But we'll get into that with Joe in a little bit. But there are 62 guys that are posted on this depth chart. And Ryan talked about the depth, not as deep as 19 guys in the NFL. But out of those 62, how many do you think are new players this year? Like I was talking to Eli Savoy as he was leaving about how many Ole Miss might have that are new, and every player on that team that will start for Ole Miss in the past has come as a transfer, okay? So the last few years they've arrived in Oxford as a transfer portal player.
Right.
I'm talking brand new, either junior college guy, freshman, or portal, transferring from another school. This year, not from a couple of years, this year, how many new faces that are on this depth chart that the University of Memphis has put out? How many do you think?
Like 4?
Oh, no. A lot more.
A lot more?
Oh, yeah. 30 new guys. 30. On the offensive line alone, You've got a new left tackle in Chris Adams. The whole left tackle, Chris Adams, Jalen Nichols, Parker Peterson, all brand new. One's a freshman, and one came from Old Dominion, the starter Adams, and the other, Jalen Nichols, came from South Carolina. Okay, that's not the only position. Your new center, Trent Holler, he came from East Carolina and Marshall. So he may know Tim Cramsey's schemes. That gave him a leg up. Your right tackle, Kedrell Lewis, came from San Jose State. Your whole right tackle position, Lewis, kid named Jonathan Young, and Calvin McMillan. Young is a junior college transfer from Iowa Central Community College. And then McMillan started his career at Holmes Community College, went to Southern Miss, and then his last outing he was at Mississippi State. So he's well-traveled. So of your tackle positions, 6 deep, all 6 are new players. 30 of your 62 guys are all brand new. That's college football today.
Yeah, today's version. Because you got to replace the talent that you lost.
That is, wow. To me, that's just absolutely crazy. But that's the way it is now. As I said, you got to go back a couple of years, but if you look at the Ole Miss starting lineup, according to Eli, every one of them has been a transfer. There's the days of getting a recruit, redshirting him for a year, and then bring him along slowly, and he's going to play the last 2 or 3 years of his college career. That's say goodbye to that. I don't know how you keep a backup quarterback. And I feel bad for a guy like Tevin Carter, right? Tevin Carter, the kid that played here in high school and was a fairly sought-after athlete. Some people thought he would be a tight end. I remember the first time I ever talked to Glenn Rogers Jr. about Tevin Carter. He goes, he'll be a great college tight end. He was not sure if he would be a quarterback. He was the backup quarterback here, and he lost patience with being the backup because he wasn't going to play in front of Seth. And he transferred to Tennessee State. Now he got into a battle with another kid at Tennessee State, and clearly the other kid beat him. So now what is Tevin Carter going to do? Is he going to back up this kid that beat him out, or does he change positions? Because he's a great athlete. I'd figure out a way, if I were that coach at Tennessee State, I'd figure out a way to play him. But that's what happens. People lose patience, they go, and it doesn't always work out.
That's true. But then, at the same time, you're banking, God forbid, you're banking on the guy in front of you. Well, one, you want to beat him out in camp. Let's start off with that. You want to beat him out in camp. But if you don't, you're banking on the guy to mess up or, like I said, God forbid,
get injured.
And I think he was there when Seth got there. So it was like, the timeline of him possibly playing. Yeah,
I think he came the year. I think the sophomore year of Seth is when he came. Right.
So the only year that he's possibly could play if he stayed the 4 years at Memphis was his senior year, which there was no guarantee because
I believe he's now a junior, right? So now he's a backup again.
Yeah.
Now, if you lost out to the place that you just transferred to, wouldn't you go, you know what, I can play another position. I want to play. I would think. Because guess what? If that kid gets hurt, they can always move you back.
Yeah. I mean.
Well, I don't know. But the lack of patience in this day and age, it's evident. For instance, the Tigers, I know they're high on this kid from Rolette, Texas. His name is Harris Boyd, 6'2". He's a redshirt freshman. He looked great in the spring game. His arm may actually be stronger, from what I'm told, than Seth Hennigan's. But now what happens when this 4-star quarterback that they signed, that committed to them, when he comes in next year? Now you got a battle in camp. What if you lose that battle and you're Harris Boyd and you know you're pretty good? What do? Do you sit out or do you go, all right, I'm moving I'm moving to kids from Texas. I'm going to CUSA school.
Yeah. You can always go. You can always downgrade to go to a lower school to get the playing time, and then if you perform well there, then you can get called.
In the old days, though, you'd go, you know what? I'm going to beat this kid out in camp, and if you don't beat him out, you're accepting it.
Yeah,
Or you go to the coach and say, make me a defensive back.
which is kind of wild. You go quarterback to defensive
Oh
back.
no, I've seen that happen many a time. You know exactly what everybody's running if you're a quarterback. You understand schemes for sure, and if you're athletic enough to be a quarterback, most of the time you can be a safety. Anyway,
That's true.
It's not that way now. Now you can transfer at any time, and if a coach believes in you, he'll give you NIL money to go. So that's the way it is in this day and age. A couple of other tidbits. We saw some, we always see history with baseball. We may never see this one again. This is crazy. Did you hear what happened last night with Boston and Toronto?
No, what happened?
Oh, this is great. There's a catcher named Danny Jansen, catcher now with Boston. In June, he was playing for the team he used to be on, Toronto. He was the catcher. The game got rain delayed and then postponed in June. Then Toronto traded him to Boston. Last night, they picked that game up in whatever inning they picked it up, and Jansen batted in that inning again, but for a different team. He's the only player ever to play in the same game for two different teams, and he actually played in the same inning in both games.
Because I was getting ready to
Or
say,
batted
like,
in both innings.
So what's the protocol? Like, do he got to jump back over into a Blue Jays jersey to finish it out, or he got?
No, he played for Boston. He played in a different uniform, same game, and in fact batted in the same inning.
Yeah, that's really strange.
I don't think we'll ever see that again. That is crazy. And last night at the U.S. Open tennis tournament, which just started, Novak Djokovic, the Joker, won his 89th win. This is his 18th U.S. Open. He's never lost before the third round. So he's 18-0 in the first round. He beat a qualifier named Radu Albert last night. He's after his 25th major, 37 years old, had knee surgery before the Olympic Games. We know he came back and beat Alcaraz in the finals to get a gold. Now he's got a golden slam. And I wouldn't be shocked if he won. Alcaraz is not in his best form, even though he won the two majors, got knocked off. Of course, that was best of three. Best of five, it might be different. That's one story. Here's the other story. We know, I think Coco Gauff is becoming the biggest name in American tennis, right? Kind of replacing Serena.
Yeah.
There's a new girl, a 16-year-old California girl named Eva Jovic. And 16 years old, a junior in high school. She's actually taking courses online. Who knew you could do courses online in high school? I didn't. But if she loses quick enough in this thing, she actually can play in the junior tournament, which starts like next week at the U.S. Open. She's like won junior Wimbledon, junior Australian. She plays doubles and mixed doubles. 16 years old, won her first match last night. I just remember that name, Eva, and I'm thinking it's Jovic. She is like Djokovic. She is of Serbian descent, but she's a phenom. 16 years old, and she's already won. Well, Coco was 15 when she won a tournament, a match. Was it at Wimbledon that she won her first one? The first major match that she won was she was 15, wherever it was.
Yeah, I think was it? Yeah, I think it was Wimbledon.
Yeah. Anyway,
Or it could have been. Yeah, it was Wimbledon.
I think so. Yeah. Anyway, 15. I'll tell you, Jennifer Capriati was another American young lady that sort of had that same road at 15. Didn't work out that well for her. It's worked out pretty good for Coco. That is for sure. We'll see what happens with Eva Jovic. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and a reminder to you that if you get to I-40 and Wooden Road, you'll see the world's biggest spa sale going on, and I don't know how much longer it'll go. It might go all the way through September, but with September coming, I'm just urging you to get to I-40 and Wooden Road so you can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are absolutely ready for delivery. Those spas start at $28.99. There are cold plunges start just under $4,000. Swim spas starting at $17,499. Those are those big, elaborate spas that are so cool, and there's special financing available for that kind of price. All you got to do is go talk to him, go talk to Billy, go talk to Lindsay, go talk to all the fine folks at Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun and these great sales all come together. We pause for a second. When we come back, it'll be Joe Dank on the business of sports. He comes your way in a minute.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
All 650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820, Telluride RG543666, MSRP 39835, EV9 R602 29603, MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives and a PF 695, includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 8/31/24, dealer stock only.
Hey, yo, Jeff Allen, what's up over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
I know what's down, Randy. Prices at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah. You looking to save? 41 MPG Highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. I've got a 2024 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $379 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And Randy, talk about saving big bucks. 304 EPA estimate range for $389 a month in a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite, $49.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease.
Plus the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Getaway Sports Bar. Best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garden, the creators, SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Come up on 6 pool tables. Closest here in town. Grab your pool stick and get you some more water. Chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. On Megan 1625. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
They can't get that Central Barbecue location on Central back open soon enough.
It's still going to be a little while. They do things right at Central Barbecue. That's why every location is so unique.
I know, but there's a lot of different Central Barbecue locations, but I miss the OG, the Central Barbecue on Central.
You know, it's going to be completely different.
Well, not completely.
Yeah, when the Central Barbecue location on Central reopens, it'll be bigger, nicer, more streamlined.
But still on Central.
That's about the only thing. For the time being, until they tell us different, you can't go wrong with any of the Central Barbecue locations.
You know, I think we broke a record for saying Central Barbecue the most times in a Central Barbecue commercial.
Are you looking to save on gas? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the bike with 41 MPG Highway and your new 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 due at signing. All 24-month lease. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike or online 24/7 365 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820, EV9 R60 MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives, and PF 695 includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 8/31/24, dealer stock only.
always love this segment. Former general manager, producer, director of television, and as Joe Dank joins us on the business of sports. And I want to go back to the news that we got a little earlier this week that apparently the Bally's deal with the NBA and some NHL teams has gone through. I know you had thought that there were some teams that might not be a part of this. I know Dallas is not because they're going over the air. But it looked like Memphis and the group with Pete and Brevin and Rob Fisher, that they were going to be back on Bally's this year. Can you give us any update on that Bally's deal? Good morning.
Good morning, David. Good to be with you. Well, so it was released on Friday as part of a court filing that Diamond Sports Group, that's the owner of Bally's Sports. They, of course, are in bankruptcy, and this is all part of a bankruptcy filing and they're trying to exit the bankruptcy issue. And so they did reach a deal with 13 NBA teams. Grizzlies are included in that, as well as 9 NHL teams. Dallas and New Orleans both have dropped out. Those were previously teams that appeared on a Bally Sports network on this basis. Now, this is good news for Grizzlies fans. There's great stability there. It's in the same place. You'll recall earlier this year, the Grizzlies returned to the Xfinity cable systems. So it looks like everything's good. There is one potential little hang-up. The bankruptcy plan that Diamond Sports Group has filed, and that was, in fact, part of this proceeding on Friday where these contracts were revealed, that's still subject to the approval of the bankruptcy court. Now, everything's expected to be wrapped up in time for the beginning of the season. The next hearing in this bankruptcy proceeding is scheduled for next Tuesday. So that's September 3rd. That still gives us about a month and a half before opening day. So the folks at Bally Sports and Diamond Sports Group working diligently to escape from the bankruptcy proceeding and to tie up some deals. Now, it has been reported that the teams that are staying with Bally's may have settled for a reduced rights fee. Some reports suggested maybe as much as 30 or 40%. So you might guess that the Grizzlies have taken a bit of a haircut on their rights fee. Nothing is confirmed, and those deals are rarely revealed, but these are out there in various newsletters, as it were, and reported by sources that claim to be in the know. So that is the status. At this point, it looks like probably no change. Grizzlies on Bally's come opening night. But it's a one-year deal, and then we go right back to see if Bally's and Diamond Sports Group can survive in what has really, really become a tough business, and that is the regional sports network business.
What would the hesitation of the court be on this? Would it be that they're paying out too much rights fee for the value that they can bring back that the court would have to decide upon? Or is there something really in the whole business model that makes these regional networks now not a viable entity?
Well, I think this is a specific bankruptcy situation. I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. They need to satisfy the court that their reorganization plan is, in fact, viable, that creditors have been treated fairly, and that they can, in fact, come out of it and move forward in a profitable way and, in essence, not stiff anybody going forward.
Well, we'll find out because this thing, what did you say, next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
All right. Well, we may have something by next Wednesday as you move to Wednesdays in our new fall lineup, which
that's right.
We will get to a little bit later in the week. So, all right. Well, the good news is, at least for this year, I'll get to watch it on my Xfinity. Not exactly free, but since I'm already paying out, I know where it's going. It's not like I have to go do a pay-per-view on a stream somewhere, which I always kind of think that's where we're all going in the end anyway.
Probably so. Yes, sir.
All right. Let us move to Tigers and all the newness of things that are going on with the stadium, with NIL, with everything that is a little bit different this year, including the most anticipated year I think we've ever had, because it's the first year that the Group of Five has a seat at the table for the playoffs, now that they're expanded, and Memphis, in most projections, is that team.
Yeah, look, I think all of the preseason hype well-founded and exciting from a on the field college football competitive issue standpoint. Great stuff. But I also think it might be, if not the biggest or most important, certainly one of the biggest and one of the most important football seasons ever for the university as it relates to off-the-field issues. As we know, the stadium project is underway. That will be on full display Saturday when people come into the stadium or when we turn it on our TVs and see that the entire west side between the 10-yard lines is basically gone. But that's huge, and that represents such an important step for the university. Think about this. They now own the stadium that they play in. They have all of the financial obligations associated with that, but they have all the upside of building that new stadium, and that's important. This truly is the first year of the FedEx NIL deal where that $5 million is in place. A significant portion, one would believe, has been dedicated towards a term you can hardly imagine using, but it's a football payroll plan, I guess.
Right.
And that's what it is, and let's see what impact that has. And does that FedEx NIL deal actually allow Memphis, in many ways, to separate itself from the pack in the conference? You know, we have a new athletic director in place right now, and he's charged with getting the stadium plan done and getting all of this in position. And of course, the primary motivation, I think, as most would surmise, of all of the above, is to position Memphis for a chance, again, at long last, for a position in a better conference should realignment come up again.
Well, it is coming up.
Other than that,
yeah,
go ahead.
It is coming up since you brought it up.
Yes.
But you know, I know there's a connection between Ed Scott and the commissioner of the ACC. He himself said that logically the ACC, Clemson and Florida State wanting to leave, so there could be openings, or the Big 12 because geography could come into play, that those would be the two most logical conferences that Memphis could end up in. Ed Scott said that at his opening press conference. Well, the news came out last week. The Big 12 may consider that they would expand. They're talking UConn. I've also heard Gonzaga. I know their commissioner is a basketball guy. And Memphis does fit that bill too. But I was really kind of surprised. Connecticut basically said, we're sacrificing football, we're going to the Big East because we're a basketball school. And here they may get an invitation to the Big 12. It's mind-boggling to me.
Well, it is interesting, but as you suggest, so here's a guy who thinks basketball can play a little bit bigger role in the overall even media rights issue as it relates to these conferences going forward. So let's look, UConn's a two-time defending national champion men's basketball, and their women's program has only been one of the best on the planet in the last 20 years. So, if you're looking around and you have a basketball orientation, why not start at the very top? I mean, what school in the country has a better combination right now of men's and women's basketball than UConn?
There's none.
None.
I would agree with that. But, for years, this is why we're doing the stadium. This is why for the last 14 years, this program in football has been really representative. It's because football was the straw that stirred the drink. And all of a sudden, here comes expansion with a school, granted the best combination of women and men's basketball, no football. They sacrificed that years ago. And Gonzaga, another school known for basketball, really both men and women, no football at all. They don't even play football. I mean, that to me...
No. They wait, David. They do play football. I mean, they're an independent right now. And UConn did build a stadium not that many years ago, maybe 10 years ago. They converted an abandoned airstrip in the Connecticut area, put a brand new stadium there. It wasn't that long ago that UConn football played in an Orange Bowl, right?
Well, when they were in the Big East, they were nothing as an American Athletic Conference team. They were a joke.
No question. They were very bad. But this deal, as it's been reported, would be as early as, I think, 26 for the basketball, and the football program would have to reinvent itself and would not be under consideration for inclusion in the Big 12 until 2031.
You think it's going to happen?
Probably, because they're pretty far down the line. I think the university presidents are meeting this week. If the stories that have been reported are to be believed, there's a meeting scheduled this week for the university presidents to vote on it. And the people who report this stuff have very good track records on being right on this. They don't put it in.
Is this just UConn, or is this UConn with Gonzaga in there?
UConn only at this point.
UConn only. Okay. So they would go add one. They wouldn't add two.
Right, which is a little bit interesting, but they're just doing, maybe Zags come in if they get this done, because it's a basketball only with the football piece not till 2031. So there's like a 5-year period where you could add two pretty good basketball programs to what most people believe is the best college basketball league to begin with.
Wow. Yeah, that would be what would seem to be another slap in the face of the University of Memphis. I frankly, you got a football program that most people say is the best in a group of 5. The majority are picking that Memphis to make that playoff spot. And a basketball team that was in the rankings last year. I know they fell off the face of the earth. But let's go, if we go traditionally, not UConn, but a darn good program. I think if you looked last year or the year before, they did this thing on the best 25 programs of all time, and Memphis was in the top 25. They've been to Final Fours in 08, in 73, in 83 Final Fours. Not many schools can make that claim. So I think it's frustrating if you're a Memphis fan to see here is a school, great basketball, doesn't play football at all, that could get into this league. It's crazy.
Well, so let me say this then about that, and that is, let's talk about the important nature of the on-the-field, on-the-court performance impacting what we talked about off-the-field, off-the-court issues. And so the best possible thing you can do is win the conference, make the playoffs in football, and fill the reduced capacity stadium every time they play this year. The second thing you can do is go win what most people think is a weak basketball league, win the league, and win a game or two in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Then you have real stuff that you can put on the table to make your case to the powers that be that make these decisions.
Only time will tell to see if that would be enough. Because every time Memphis seems to take a step forward in a direction, there seems to be a step back. But we'll wait and see. That is for sure. All right. I want to remind everybody that if you're looking for SEC football now, don't look on CBS because it's moved. And Fox now has a whole bunch of stuff as well. And we, in this market, rightfully so, we target our concentration on the SEC. The best television deals, though, they are actually in the Big Ten. The most revenue streams are going to actually come into the Big Ten. Joe, go over these new deals because it's pretty strong stuff.
It is remarkable, and the Big Ten just positioned itself so amazingly well going forward, and it kicks in full this season, and it starts this Saturday. But think about this for a second. Here is a normal Saturday. This is how the Saturdays are going to line up for the Big Ten on national broadcast television this year. At 11 a.m., Fox will have a national Game of the Week broadcast. At 2:30, CBS will do a Big Ten game. Now, that's the traditional window where we saw SEC for all those years.
Right.
2:30 on CBS now becomes a Big Ten game. And then NBC has a 6:30 p.m. Big Ten game all season long. So 3 of the games in this league every week will be on over-the-air broadcast network television available coast to coast, which somehow now appears fitting if you consider a league that has a team in Piscataway, New Jersey,
right,
and a team in Los Angeles, California, and a whole bunch in between.
Eugene, Oregon, and a lot of crazy stuff. That is for
That's right.
sure. That is incredible. 3 different networks with a national game of the week. My question for you would be this, and you're a fan, so you understand quality of programming. Are there enough? So that's 6 teams every week that have to be in a big showdown. Are there enough premier games to make that work where you got 3 great games nationally broadcast every week?
Short answer, yes. And the reason I say yes is consider the alternative. Where else are you going to go now to get another great game? ESPN and ABC and Disney has the SEC completely tied up. That 2:30 game will move to ABC this year, so that's free over-the-air television. It used to be on CBS. It just simply moves over to ABC.
Right.
But there are so many other SEC-oriented windows because, look, ESPN used to fill in parts of its schedule with Big Ten games and Pac-12 games. Well, those 2 leagues are completely off ESPN. So there are even more SEC games now on ESPN ABC, along with the ACC. And, David, it should be noted, and I checked again today, you'll recall for the past several years, and this goes back even for me to when I first got to Memphis 9 years ago now, and the AAC had regular appearances on ABC. I mean, we benefited with that greatly when we were running Local 24. We loved it.
Right.
ABC is mentioned only one time right now on the American Conference website, and that is for an October game, and it's an ABC or ESPN game. It's yet to be determined. And guess what? That's Notre Dame at Navy. So, and there's only 2 other times the AAC is scheduled for a network television broadcast this year.
That's interesting because CBS used to own all of the academies.
Well, but
that must have changed too.
Navy's in the conference now. Remember, Navy's in the AAC.
I know.
So that's a home game. It's a home game at Navy, so that game is in the package. Now, the other interesting thing is that the AAC will appear on network TV when Army plays at Notre Dame in November. And then in December, obviously, it's the Army-Navy game on CBS. So the only time the league right now is scheduled to be on a free over-the-air broadcast network involves either, well, it involves the Army and Navy. That's the only way you get on right now. Isn't that something?
On paper, the best game is Memphis and Tulane, Thanksgiving night, 6:30, and that's going to be on ESPN. It's not on ABC. Joe, as always, we've run a little long, but we appreciate it. I know we'll get to the college football playoff and all that package here sometime soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
You got it, Joe Dank. On the Business of Sports, brought to you by Ken Garland. That's the business of building a home, and nobody does it better. 3rd generation, 2 Kens and now a William, all in the business. They are the ones that you want to build that dream home. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And then confer, because he'll give you little details and big picture all at once. If you need land, he's got it. If you're not sure how to utilize the land that maybe you've had in your family, you want to build that dream home, believe me, he is your guy. Or maybe you want to remodel. You've got a beautiful lot. You love your home. You love your location. You don't want to move, but you want modern amenities. Nobody does renovation with innovation like Ken Garland. KenGarland.com, that's the place to start. I'm telling you, if you want that dream home, there's only one place to go. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Back in a minute, we go to Nashville. Voice of the Titans is Mike Keith, and he's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collierville's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving Lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collierville's historic town square.
Hey, Jason, the main man, Marshall, it's the Volkswagen Sandy Summer Sales Event at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. And, buddy, I need the scoop.
Randy, don't pass this one by, my man. Take your pick, 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, just $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Edition, $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. And remember, at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, no reasonable offer will be refused.
Remember, it's your choice, 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Editions, $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. So ask for Jason, the main man, Marshall at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettVWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and clean quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan loves her ring from Genesis Diamonds. It's something simple with the song that I love. That's exactly what we got. And then we just celebrated the wedding bands, got a little fun, passionately around it, and definitely enjoyed it when it came to choosing the ring. These three bands enjoyed it. It's a pleasure for Genesis because of the reputation, the quality, the personal service, and of course, the brand. So the pressure to buy it collection of songs about sensational bridesmaids. At least 1,000 DMs asking from the future brides to buy my ring. I worked with Kizzy Pop, so I just looked at me as a person to ask. As advice to all those girls, it's been a great experience. Genesis Diamonds and Music's
Back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
We head to Nashville for our weekly conversation with the voice of the Titans. That is Mike Keith. Today it's cut-down day, and if you watch Hard Knocks, you know it's a dramatic day around the league, and lives are affected, that is for sure. What's the atmosphere like around Titans headquarters today? Good morning.
Good morning. It's on the first floor where football is. It's really just awful. There's just no way to put it because you'll have a combination of a lot of different things. You have veterans who know they're at the end of the line. You have young players who have never gone through any disappointment in their life because they were always the best player on their team, and now they're trying to figure out what's next. And then the in-between. You know, does somebody get picked up by another team once waiver claims start? Free agency is there for vested veterans. And then you have the players who, as of midday tomorrow, will have an opportunity, and some veterans too will have the opportunity to be on practice squads. So the sense of the unknown is hard. It's just so disappointing because even if from the outside you know who the 90th player is, you know so-and-so Smith or so-and-so Jones has no shot to make this football team, you still know they gave it all they had. They got out there. They were continuing a dream. And for all of us who played anything, it ends at some point, whether that's middle school or high school or college. And it's just as painful when it ends for these guys who are not ever going to play ever again. And it's awful. I mean, today is, from the outside, it's exciting watching Twitter and watching, but if you're in this building, you try desperately to stay off of the first floor because you feel so badly for not the football players, the human beings, and all the human beings involved who have to be part of the process, who work for the team too. It's just hard. It is hard.
The only thing I can, think of it, especially with veterans, is like when I see a fourth or a fifth year senior who's been around the program for a long time, senior day, it's his last game. Yeah, you feel the emotion, you're never going to see that kid in the same light again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, though, let's say it's a 8, 9, 10-year veteran that you've interviewed hundreds of times that you're saying goodbye to, and his time is up. That's got to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because the personal investment of it is a lot more than what the name or the salary is. To those, and listen, I have a great job. I have no complaints with my job, but in this job, as you're saying, Dave, you know the people.
Right.
You don't just know number 32 Smith, and you don't just know somebody as the fourth linebacker on the depth chart or somebody who makes $2.4 million a year. This is the day that they are very much human beings, and that's the difficult part. I'm always thankful when this day is over. Because you just hope you don't bump into anyone. Because what do you say?
Right. There's nothing you can say. You're not going to make it any easier on them. 100%.
No. Just tell them you love them.
Yeah.
I mean, you give them a hug and just say, "Hey, thank you for being as cooperative, for being a professional, for being a good person." It's terrible.
All right. What wasn't terrible is that 6 teams in this preseason were undefeated. The Titans were one of those teams, and I do not believe it is a true barometer at all of greatness or excellence in the regular season. I do believe, though, that you establish a culture of positivity when you win every game. That's the bottom line, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what it is. We talked about this on the official Titans podcast that came out yesterday. Is you're just trying to turn a page and to establish a little bit of momentum and to have a little bit of a feeling what good looks like, especially when everything's new. If this were year 6 of Vrabel last year, it really doesn't matter. But in year 1 of Callahan, it's more significant because it is new and everybody's trying to see and feel what that looks like. So, yeah, I mean, winning's always better than losing. There is no preseason Super Bowl champion, as you sort of alluded to.
Right.
But, I mean, it's good. And I think the big thing for us is we came back and won 2 preseason games at the end, which gave us a chance to see a lot of situations. We played defense at the end of a game, which gave us a chance to see that situation. Brian Callahan said on his radio show last night, we showed 113 different running plays or runs.
Wow.
In the 3 games. So people are like, wow, they have a lot of run schemes that we've got to prepare for. So all of those things are more significant, in my opinion, than winning. But, yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've had an undefeated preseason in 21 years. Dave, I could not have told you that. I could not. If you'd have said, when was the last time you went undefeated in the preseason, I would have said, no clue. But it's good.
I'm astounded you average almost 38 different running plays a game.
That's
astonishing to me in its own right. I'll tell you what else you established. Will Levis is your number one. And then we found out yesterday Mason Rudolph is your clear number two because you traded away Malik Willis. Was that close?
I don't think so. I don't think you sign Mason Rudolph for the money that we paid, and it's ever going to be a real competition unless Mason Rudolph really falters. Because there is just so much more of a body of work with Mason Rudolph, especially the way he played at the end of last year for Pittsburgh. And the reason you spent the money you did on a veteran backup is if, heaven forbid, you lose Will Levis in week 6, your season is not over with Mason Rudolph. You know that. Unfortunately, you don't know that with Malik Willis. You just don't. He is so much better than he was. He is a vastly improved player. There was a market out there for him. I mean, he's going to Green Bay to be their backup.
Right.
And so, from that standpoint, it's really good for him. He has done well. I'm happy for him. Let me just share something with your listeners. Do you remember during the combine that he was at back in 2022, there was a video of him giving some of his combine gear to a homeless man in Indianapolis. And the video went viral. Everybody in the world saw it.
Mm-hmm.
There were some people who thought that was staged by his representation to make him seem like a really good guy. And now that's a cynical view, but a lot of things go on at the combine involving agents and people like that, so you never quite know. I'm here to tell you that's 100% who that human being is. There's no chance that was staged. He is one of my favorite guys that has been in our building in the last 5 years, and I'm happy that he now gets to go have an opportunity and take his career forward. That's one of those situations where you're not sad, because here's a guy who walked in this building so raw. I mean, a talent, but he was not ready to play quarterback in the NFL. Now I think he might be, which is that next step. Mason Rudolph, however, is ready to go.
That is,
and that's why he's
and that's a win-win, I think, all the way
Absolutely.
around. Mike,
and we get a 7.
Yeah, there and you get a 7. Mike, we'll talk regular season games coming up. The Bears and the Titans when we chat next Tuesday.
Can I talk to you next week?
I don't know.
Playing the Bears?
I don't know.
I mean, you may be obnoxious, right?
I could be. I could start the show by going Bear down Chicago. I won't do that.
Chicago Bears.
There you go. There you go.
I know. My wife knows it too.
I love it. All right. Thank you, Mike. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
That's our guy. That's the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. Brought to you by Memphis Public Links. Have you played the new Audubon? Have you checked out the new Pine Hill and that new clubhouse? And I can't wait to talk to Mickey because I hear the clubhouse for the new Audubon is incredible. And I hear there are some new plans for Riverside to make it an accessible handicap golf course of 9 holes. They're going to redo it. It's amazing how the city powers have understood golf is an amenity that great cities have, and they've made Memphis Public Golf great. If you don't believe me, just go play any of the courses, and you'll thank me later. We got to go. Mickey Barker, our last golf picks, that comes your way tomorrow with a whole lot more. Johnny Radio is next. Have a great day, everybody.